Resident Evil 4.
Oh my god. So after the action-packed, yet scary, yet stupid B-movie, yet lighthearted million-dollar jet ski riding success that was Resident Evil 4, I feel like Capcom was trying to bring back that same feeling with later entries in the series. You know that strangely charming feeling it has? I say strange because, like I said before, it's kind of goofy.
Your right hand comes off?
This game has a lot of cool, unique moments. I like that. Unfortunately, this desire to capture that lightning in a bottle again was, well, like trying to capture lightning in a bottle again. I don't know. The Resident Evils that came out afterwards were sadly lousy attempts at trying to get that ridiculous vibe that oozed out of Resident Evil 4's gracious hull. They kind of just focused on the action aspects that RE4 amped up a bit from the last three mainline games and Code Veronica, and just kept making it bigger and crazier. I mean, look at this. This is just the opening cinematic. Chris is voiced by the guy that voices Sonic. Oh man, this is worse than we thought. And rightfully so, I feel. The reception for RE6 was mostly negative or just like meh. So much so that when they announced Resident Evil 7 in 2016, they made it abundantly clear that Resident Evil is going back to its roots in horror. And this game blew people's expectations out of the water like a very big salamander. Now back to an equal survival to horror ratio, Resident Evil 7 was an insane success. A true Resident Evil. And I just have to say, I didn't like it that much. And for a couple reasons, okay? Like, yeah, okay, you could say that it went to its survival horror roots and that it was kind of spooky in the beginning, but that's it for the horror part. Like, after you get lovingly inducted into the family by Daddy, the game starts to shift into this not very balance of serious scary mixed with funny scary, and this happens throughout the whole game. And unfortunately, at least for me, it doesn't really work well in the game's favor. Like for the other Resident Evil games before this one, it feels like they would not really take themselves too seriously for the most part. Like it's supposed to be a little goofy. The weird voice acting, the jokes in between the very unfortunate events happening in the beats of the game.
That was a close one. A second late, you would have fit nicely into a sandwich.
Really?
This choice and tone makes for the more impactful and actually serious beats have that much more emphasis and weight and more you're going to give a shit about thisness about it. But this, it feels like this game is intended to be way more like super serious throughout the whole time with a few funny bits here and there, you know? My favorite being Jack saying, "I'm gonna get you, I'm gonna get you," which kind of just made me roll my eyes the whole time. Like, why is this game so dramatic?
It was foolish thinking I could escape. Go! Both of you just go! There won't be anyone left to help!
And I guess that just doesn't make the Resident Evil fan in me very happy, considering so many called this game a true Resident Evil. I don't know, maybe I'm stupid. But the other thing that made me kind of disappointed with this game is how kind of clunky everything is. The inventory blows. There's no personality in this inventory. The shooting kind of sucks. There are like only 3 different enemies throughout the whole game. The movement is so goddamn slow. Ethan feels like he's always walking in fucking molasses. You never actually feel like you're running away from the enemies, and yet they're still taking their sweet ass time to attack you. Nothing feels as smooth as the other Resi games. The ironically smooth nature of pausing the game to equip different weapons in 1 through 4, even the in-game inventory in 5 and 6. I personally hate how limited the inventory is in 5, but it's still smooth nonetheless. It's seamless. I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bitch, but I think this game has a case of the first game in this style in an established series but didn't have the same effect as Resident Evil 4 syndrome. Working diagnosis title, but Resident Evil 7 has some pretty big shoes to fill. Not only is it the next mainline entry in an insanely loved series, but it also has the pressure of not being as shit as Resident Evil 6, but also it's clearly turning the series into a different direction, just like Resident Evil 4 did. So there's gonna be some pretty high expectations even if they don't realize it. And I think that even Capcom realizes that 7 didn't necessarily fill in those shoes very well. Because holy shit, ever heard of Resident Evil 4 2? This game made me shit my khakis out of excitement, but actually after I played it and not from the teasers and the marketing and the hype. Let me explain. Like, yeah, I was already hype about the genius marketing Capcom was doing on Twitter and shit, but at the same time, I was kind of weirded out by all like the wolf aesthetic stuff, and I was specifically scared that Chris would be turning into a wolf because of the amazing box art. And don't panic, he does in fact not turn into a wolf. I know. The best game of 2021. After the first 10 minutes of actually playing, I was immediately sucked out of that bullshit. I was entranced by whatever the fuck was going on. The wolf aesthetic and nature of all the enemies and shit immediately started to make sense and actually freak me out a bit, and it kind of scared me sometimes. This game is goofy through and through. It does not take itself seriously all that much, especially compared to 7. At least in my little rat boy eyes. It doesn't suffer from that one syndrome I was talking about. Remember that? Not only all of that, but the game is so influenced and inspired by Resident Evil 4, and that gets me very excited. The setting starts in a village, and can I say, this village is so fucking beautiful. Goat heads and all. The atmosphere is freaky and intriguing, inviting, but also screaming, get the fuck out of here. The story starts out kind of intimate and gets actually super bonkers very fast. Also, it's just a really good story. I feel like 11 out of 10 would 100% simp for Lady Dimitrescu again. The enemies are cool and vicious as fuck. There's a short person as a boss. I don't know why I wrote that. There's a really scary part, and the inventory, bro, it's just like it's got the cup. It's got fish, dude. I legitimately screamed when I saw that there were fish and you could shoot them and eat them. There's very cool and always where you need them to be merchant that, yes, of course, makes a reference to the what are you buying? Paul Mercier, I love you. You get to upgrade your weapons, collect, combine, and sell treasures. But now you and the Duke, this guy is called the Duke, by the way. You and the Duke get to share meals with the fish that you killed. I know it isn't perfect. I still have my problems with it. I'm not the hugest fan of the Heisenberg fight gameplay-wise, or Heisenberg in general. Heisenberg's voice, especially.
You mean you'll screw around with him in private, and where's the fun in that?
Also, in the early parts of the game, they introduced Elena, the most insanely beautiful, nice woman I think I've ever seen in video games. And they just kill her off so fucking fast. Look, man, I just witnessed my wife getting lit the fuck up and my daughter taken away by Chris Redfield himself, and I'm desperate for a new lover ASAP, and you just rip her away from me. But if those were the only major problems that I had with the game, I think it'll be fine. So what the fuck is this video about anyway, right? I feel like I just came out of nowhere, came out the gates screaming about Resident Evil, or talking moderately averagely about Resident. Some cynical bastard will probably say this game is just derivative at best and it's just referencing RE4 for the brownie points, but that's just surface level, man. It's like if they had the idea for Resident Evil Village and then later on in development they're like, wait, let's use this opportunity to honor the best game in the universe just because they love the game and what it's done for the series. And that's why I care so much about it. This whole time of recording and writing the video, I was like, why the fuck am I talking about this? And you're probably also thinking that. I feel like Resident Evil Village, in my eyes, is a very open, honest, vulnerable love letter to Resident Evil 4 and its fans. Every reference and element taken and inspired from 4 is Capcom just simply expressing their love for the game, and even more so, expressing their love for the fans of the game that treated it so well even to this day. So with that being said, Capcom, I'm checking yes. Thanks for watching the video. Oh my god, I lost so much sleep and I am so tired, and I really hope it was not for nothing. You know, if you enjoyed it, I appreciate you. If you like, I appreciate even more. If you just comment, you know, the next level. If you subscribe, I might just kiss you. Unless you're like my dad or something, then that's gay, dude. What am I saying?